What's shaking, cats and kittens? Thank you for supporting my podcast and my sustaining partners. I want to tell you about one of them right now, Charmington Holistics. Do you know what an apothecary is? Well, an apothecary makes and provides medicines. Charmington Holistics specializes in all natural herbal remedies and is an apothecary. So, what's ailing you? Can't sleep? Got a stomach ache? Got the blues? Well, head on over to Charmington Holistics where you can find herbal support for anything you need. A personal blended tea, herbal tonic, and supplements can offer you an alternative to that Advil bottle, while an in-house herbalist listens to your needs as well. Charmington Holistics is your source for all things herbal. Head on over to 425 South Conklin Street in Highlandtown or visit Charmington Holistics on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok. And Charmington Holistics is open 12 to 5 on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Head on over, check them out, tell them Rob Lee sent you. Welcome to Getting to the Truth in This Art. I am your host, Rob Lee, and today I am interviewing Rosalind Paris and Michael Ridgaway, hosts from Mondo Baltimore. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Hey.
So, you two, the founders? What do we?
Well, we're.
So, you go.
Oh,
ahead.
great. You would think we'd be able to share a microphone at this
No,
point, but yeah. So basically, Mondo's been around for like 11 years, and we are co-hosts and committee members. So we've been co-hosting and on the committee for about 3 years.
Something like that. Time means nothing anymore.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Mondo Baltimore it is.
But yeah, no, it started 2011 or so. A guy named Mark Colgrove, who still is sort of our fearless leader, started it, and then another guy named Sean Jones joined shortly after. They just wanted to show weird movies. They're both like local filmmakers.
Yeah.
And the original host was a guy named John Bennett.
And Fiona.
And Fiona, that's
Yeah,
true.
Mark's wife, Fiona.
Mark's wife, Fiona.
Yep.
Over the years, they've had conflicts come up, and so we stepped into their very big shoes a few years ago, and we're doing all right.
Yeah, I like to think that we're doing okay.
I still have crippling anxiety that we're not as funny as John.
That's why I drink.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that's the title of a podcast, isn't it?
Could be.
So yeah, you just did it, just osmosis. So we're already in the podcast. We're already doing the interview somehow, because I wasn't expecting. I was like, that was just a question to clarify.
Oh.
But anyway, let's go into this first question. Actually, can you tell me about yourself and your interests outside of Mondo Baltimore? Because I know both of you have separate situations,
Yes.
and I learned that, and I was like, who am I interviewing?
Yes, yeah.
Well, I've been doing improv since I was a teenager. So I was part of Free Range Improv, a short form troupe out of Annapolis that was together for about 10 years or so. And then I have a boring day job. And my partner runs the Sidebar. He's the owner. So the punk and metal venue right near City Hall. So I help out there a lot too. So, yeah.
Delightful. Michael?
So I've just kind of been on like the outer orbits of a lot of different like kind of arts things over the years. Like I worked with the MagFest, Music and Gaming Festival, a number of shows around town. I've done used to do a lot with like Mob Town when that was a thing. Did work with Bros for a few years, usually in like a logistical kind of support thing, because while I like, I love people paying attention to me. Oh my God, I love it so much. But I'm not good at it. So what I'm really good at is finding like niches that no one else wants to do. Is being like, oh, I'm a smart person and I can organize. And art people aren't great at that in general, I have learned. I love my art friends, but then you ask them about math and the eyes just glaze over. So that's my sort of journey here. And then I also have a boring day job where I work for the Space Telescope Science Institute, where we monitor the data coming down from the Hubble, and that is cool. But also, like, it's a desk job. So
I'm gonna be off mic so much because I'm laughing way too much over here. I don't like that. I'm the person that's supposed to be funny, not the guest. The guest. I will say I have some guests that are just really funny, and usually like, yeah, I can't look at you, Rob. It's like I know that's the point. Avert your eyes. So give us that rundown, and thank you both for sharing your backgrounds.
Yeah.
So give us that rundown for those who are undipped, unsaturated, uninitiated. What's Mondo, and what's the underbelly of cinema?
So Mondo,
the scratchy underbelly.
Yeah, it's, as far as I know, the only movie night in the city that's devoted to bad movies.
Yeah, no.
They're movies that are so bad that they're good. And so what happens is we have a whole committee of people, a lot of like people who work in film or just people who are into B movies and stuff like that. And we pitch a movie. And so we book one movie per month, and then we show it to an audience at the Auto Bar the first Thursday of every month. Mm-hmm. Mike and I dress up as half-assed horror hosts.
Yep. She is Frau Ankenstein. I am Dad Ghost. Used to be Ghost Dad. It was a very dumb joke I came up with until we found out that Bill Cosby is a monster. So I just transposed it. It's like, I'm Dad Ghost now. Ghost Dad's a monster. I'm just undead.
We do a drinking game too. So every movie we usually have like a drinking game for the audience to scream things at we encourage like participation, we encourage heckling, all that good stuff. So
do little skits, little games at intermission, and we have our really shitty raffle prizes that we give out at the end of every night. Not good stuff, sometimes good stuff.
Sometimes the Garfield mirror was good.
That was good, yeah.
That's great.
The collection of dog training VHSs we gave, that was good.
Didn't we? I think we sometimes we'll give out like so everybody you get. Pre-COVID, you would get free unlimited popcorn when you bought a raffle ticket, and then you'd have a chance to win a prize. We're doing like packaged foods these days for safety reasons, but usually what we give out is either something someone got in like a loot crate that they didn't want. We found it at a garage sale or a thrift store.
Oh, the Kermit lamp.
The Kermit lamp. Oh, that was good.
When I went to a flea market with Sean Jones, so the other guys on the Mondo Planning Committee, and he found a lamp that someone had made into a Kermit lamp by impaling a stuffed Kermit the Frog doll onto it. Just like jammed it right up the center, and I was like, that's good.
That'll do.
And you like bought
Cannibal
it.
Holocaust right there. Isn't it?
A little bit.
So he bought it for a couple bucks, and we showed everybody. It's like, you could win this tonight, and people went nuts. Like, the competition for the impaled Kermit lamp was just beautiful to watch.
Chef kiss. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did karaoke after the movie, and the guy that won the Kermit lamp sang "It's Not Easy Being Green" with the Kermit lamp. So he had a great night. Another time, we had that 5-pound bag of fries that were frozen.
We pride ourselves on a very distinct brand of like weird trash. It's like with the movies, it's not even just like the so bad it's good. It's like there's also like a certain like weirdness threshold and like a certain I want to say like unknownness to it, where it's like, because a lot of people know like a lot of the so bad it's good, like your Rooms, your Birdemics, your stuff like that.
Birdemic.
Which I do enjoy a good Birdemic, but like we'll bring up a movie that very few people have ever heard of called Dreamstalker, which is a slasher film from the late 80s where your movie villain is the ghost of a guy who died in a motocross accident named Ricky Fries.
I'm going to watch this.
You should.
It's phenomenal.
It's one of my favorite Mondo movies.
Yeah.
The sound quality, it sounds like they filmed it in a wind tunnel. So there are scenes where you just can't make out what they're saying.
So, wow. They're like this. So I'm gonna put this out probably around my birthday, because this, like, I'm doing a very self-aggrandizing, like, month of episodes related to shit I'm into.
Hell yeah.
And
Yeah.
weird stuff is what I'm into, and
Nice.
this is already going very well. So Michael, tell me about attaining degrees in physics and theater, and what was the plan in joining those, like, two disciplines?
Well, like I said, I crave attention constantly. So I was a math and science kid growing up who liked to do theater, and went to college, was going to do math and science stuff because my parents wanted me to get money. And they weren't wrong. They weren't wrong at all. But I got there and I started doing theater stuff, and I just started talking to people, and it was like, you should take some classes. And I was like, I should take some classes. And it's like, you should major in it. I should major in it. And I asked my parents, like, can I do that? And it's just like, are you still going to do physics? I'm like, yeah. You still going to do the teaching thing you were going to do? Yeah, I'll do all those. And then I dropped the teaching thing because I saw people go through the teaching program and it nearly killed them. So I was like, dude, just the science and the theater, and that's fine. And my God, I actually had a bunch of time left over in my senior year because I'd taken so many goddamn courses up front. So yeah, it was chaos. It was all just lucky happenstance. It kind of all came together. And I went to a smaller school, so you actually, for someone like me who kind of was not like the greatest theatrical mind, like it wasn't a lot of theatrical programs are pretty competitive, so I was able to kind of get more, like, get the attention I needed to kind of, like, bring my skills up and, like, also focus on things that, like, I could do without having to, like, compete with a dozen kids who wanted to be an actor.
An actor.
An actor on the theater.
Yes.
So, yeah, that was a big part of it, too. I was, kind of a big fish in a little pond.
I dig it.
Yeah, I can admit it.
So, Ross,
Yes.
tell me about applying your background as a comedian to Mondo. How does that work out?
Honestly, it's probably been sort of a saving grace. Mike and I aren't being modest when we said that John Bennett left a big cape to fill. He is probably one of the funniest people I've ever met.
He really is.
He really is. And so there's a lot of, like, interaction with the audience. You have to kind of think on your feet. A lot of times you kind of have to remember details to promote things. Like, for example, next week we're doing a special event where the Mondo House Band will be playing the entire Top Gun soundtrack.
That sounds amazing. I'd love to go to that.
Yes, it's going to be at the Auto Bar on Thursday. And
That's great.
so we have to remember things like, when we're presenting, but we also you have to have that, like, sense of pacing too, because you don't want to be in front of the audience at intermission and everyone has to go pee, but they don't want to miss something you're going to say.
Yep.
So you just kind of have to know when the beat goes.
And you should also probably remember things about the movie you're talking about, too.
Sometimes. Yeah. Mike and I always say that we are the two people, the Mondo Committee, who actually probably know the least about film.
It's true.
So
We know a fair amount, but we got some real cinephiles on the committee.
Yeah.
So, speak on collaboration, and this is why, because the two of you are hosts. So, at one point in my rich history as a podcaster, I had like, guests, co-hosts and so on. And sometimes when it goes to a live presentation, it doesn't really translate well. So maybe speak on, like, maybe playing off of each other and being there, not stepping on each other, things of that nature, being able to work collaboratively in a stage in front of people where you have to be on.
we talk over each other a lot still. That's one thing we
Therefore, you're talking
definitely-
over each other.
No, it's not. I mean, the one microphone situation at the auto bar does help with that. I feel like we're decently good friends, so it's just like we share a similar wavelength. We spend enough time hanging out and talking anyway that we do have a bit of a rhythm going on that we can tap into.
And my background's in improv, so I'm very used to performing with somebody. I've done a little stand-up, and I aspire to do more stand-up. But to me, it's so much scarier because you don't have backup on stage with you. And I know, like, kind of if I'm having an off night, Mike is probably going to do something funny, and I can just trust him to be himself and do something funny.
And vice versa.
And I mean, even the whole night is a collaboration. We've got Sean and Mark doing most, and Pat doing most of the tech stuff that I can't do. We do a clip show before each movie that is usually loosely related to the topic of the movie.
Sometimes, yeah.
And that's just everyone throws clips in a Facebook thread and then someone edits them together. Yeah. Our favorite one was about poop jokes.
Oh, the poop joke one was real good.
That one's real good. Some of those are on YouTube. So, I mean, the whole night is really a collaboration, and then we're just kind of the face of it.
We get together, we'll do, like, a bunch of us will watch it, and we'll come up with, like, the drinking game. Yeah. You and I will collaborate on, like, whatever we're doing in intermission. And, people chip in the shitty raffle prizes. So, it's very collaborative, like, in general, and then with the two of us up there.
And there's also, I mean, we kind of trust our fellow committee members because I've been hosting this thing for 3 years, and the whole time I've been on the committee. But I've only had, I think, one movie get picked to be shown by the committee. And it was a great movie. It starred Horshack from Welcome Back, Kotter.
Oh, yeah. That one.
He's got a very lengthy sex scene where you see his butt.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like the beginning of Stepfather.
Yeah. The drink special for that night was called Horshack's Ass Crack.
I think that one was good. But yeah, so we kind of just trust the other committee members who know so much more about film and aren't interested in the performance aspect of Mondo to kind of show us these movies that are funny and so good it's bad. And, it's like when somebody presents a movie to everybody, we usually watch like 25 minutes of it, sometimes the best parts. And it's usually a pretty unanimous decision about whether or not we're going to show it.
Yeah.
But that's also helpful because it gives us something to riff off of if we're standing up in front of the audience like, what do I say? We can just make fun of the fact that there's a guy with a butcher knife running around with a turkey on his head for half the movie.
What was that, Blood Feast?
Blood Feast. Blood Freak?
Blood Freak.
Blood Freak.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I like that you describe that, and because there's so many moving parts when it comes to like putting on something, regardless of what it is. You put it on something in front of an audience. A lot of people don't recognize it. Like where we're at, we're recording at Big right now, and we did our 10th anniversary show here. Oh. So I just remember like there's a lot of weight on yours truly, and it's like, this doesn't work and that doesn't work, and I just remember talking with one of it was like 4 of my co-hosts on just different podcasts I've done over the years, and it's kind of like a trip through memory lane, and I just remember like, I gotta learn this. I want to be on stage the entire time, and not everyone is going to be leaning in and helping out the same way. And kind of being able to, as you touched on earlier, if I'm having an off night or off moment, this person's going to be able to chime in and do something funny, and it makes sense. Because sometimes you have different energies. It's like, okay, that's a little too much. Bring it down.
Yeah.
I need you to 6. You're at a 12. I need you to 6. So I watch a lot of movies, and I've developed a rubric.
Ooh.
Okay.
On whether the movie is good or whether it's an unintentional comedy.
Okay.
Because there are some movies that are done in earnest, and it's like,
yes.
Nah, this is not good. Do you have a rubric, either of you, both of you actually, do you have a rubric when you're watching a movie, and is there something that you apply when picking a movie for Mondo?
I like to think of it as like this. There's that one Supreme Court case where they said about pornography, I can't explain it, but I know it when I see it.
That's actually a pretty good way to put it.
Wow.
Yeah. Pretty much like...
Wow.
One of our committee members, Bob Rose, who's a local filmmaker, he says that failure is sometimes even better than success.
Yeah.
And it's usually a movie that has failed so bad, it's gone past bad and is entertaining to watch. So like... so it could be like a weird slasher movie that just has really strange kills and bad acting, or it could be something like Tiptoes, which
Tiptoes.
is
Love Tiptoes.
A movie that is wildly offensive to the little people community.
Yep.
Gary Oldman plays a little person. Just
In
like,
a movie... Sorry.
No, you go.
In a movie with Peter Dinklage.
Hold up. What year did this movie come out? Because now I'm going to have to watch it. You just give me movies to watch.
No, it's amazing.
Matthew McConaughey's in it.
Come on.
Yeah.
As Gary Oldman's regular-sized brother.
Quote-unquote normal brother.
Yeah.
Who has a thing against little people. And Patricia Arquette is his wife or girlfriend.
Oh.
No, wait. It's not Patricia Arquette. She's with Dinklage.
Oh, that's right. She's with
It's Kate Beckinsale.
Kate Beckinsale. That's right.
Wearing the dumbest fucking hats.
Yeah. But right, so it's this major motion picture, big names, big budget, and you could see how in hands that are more skilled or perhaps more sensitive or had perhaps talked to more little people about their experiences, this would have been a good movie that we could like talk and grow and laugh together.
It's such Oscar bait.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's a complete failure Oscar bait.
Man.
Yeah, it's and there is a line. There's also a line between like the AAA failures, which are delightful.
Triple A failures.
Oh yeah, like a AAA movie failure. Yeah, like it has names and a budget, and the stuff we show, which is not this is like C or D movie stuff. But I think one of the things that does carry, one of the themes that carries through is earnestness.
Yeah.
Like someone had a vision, and they pursued that vision with 100% of their ability, and just whiffed, just completely whiffed, and I mean that's funny to watch.
It is.
Yeah.
As someone who has whiffed a lot in his life, it's just like, no, that was a real dumb fucking thing I did. It is objectively funny now that time has passed. So,
I think I think the perfect example of that is Wicked World, which is one we showed a couple months ago.
Oh yeah.
So this guy in the early '90s, late '80s, basically just made this very low budget slasher film. And he didn't have the money to finish it, so he basically shoved it into his garage. And then 10 years later came back, was like, here's that movie I made. And spent the money and put it together. And it's not a good movie.
No.
But he was committed to his art. And, he got it done. It took him 10 years, but it got him done. And, so there's, kind of a layer of affection about these movies, too. Because it's we've shown stuff that was shot in a guy's backyard, and how cool is that somebody is like, I'm going to make a full length movie with no budget, no real actors, just my dad in overalls yelling at someone
and they're still entertaining movies to watch. It's a different type of entertainment than what they were going for, but we are entertained, we are enjoying this as the audience. So thank you, filmmaker, for that. It's that's a very honest sentiment. I was like, listen, this didn't turn out the way you wanted to, but we're here, we're enjoying it for what it is, and I think that is a kind of compliment.
Yeah.
I don't know. Depends on the person who receives the compliment.
There's in the watching that I do, I watch most of it with my partner, and she and I will sit there and we do a version of a game where we look at the runtime of the movie, and then we look at how long we've paused it and watching shit that we should not care about. So we started doing it with movie trailers, especially because you have so many different platforms to watch things. So there's a lot of dreck out there, and it was some weird HBCU domestic violence movie. And I just now, my girlfriend, she's shaped in a very specific way. And she was like, I know a big ass when I see one. So she pauses and she was like, this woman, she just stopped. She's like, part of her ass is in the screen, the other part is not. And I was just like, you pause it right there. I was like, this is a tragic movie. He's done it before. It's kind of what they keep saying. And I was like, we shouldn't be laughing this hard. And then it just ends on this weird thing that I find out that one of my friends who I'm going to interview was like, oh, I was in that movie. I was like, hold on, what?
Yes.
She's like, oh, it's bad. She was like, I know it's bad. She's like, I'm just starting. That's fine.
Yeah. I think a lot of people who are in bad movies know they're bad. It's like, it's hard to kind of have those illusions. Like if you're just if you have a bad director or a bad producer, and they'll just if it's a paycheck, it's a paycheck. Yeah. But there are some directors who have no concept that they are bad.
Yobo.
No, he knows what he is. Neil Breen thinks he is a god among men when it comes to directors. Uwe Boll knows what he's doing. It was a German tax scheme, and it worked out well for him. And the reason he doesn't make movies anymore is because Germany closed that tax loophole.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh yeah. No, there's a great article about out there somewhere where it's just like you just get a bunch of people to invest in his movies because of this German tax loophole, and they would just write off the losses, and he would get the money and make his movie, and they would get their tax write-off, and everybody was happy except for the people who watched the movies.
So you're saying no Blood Rain 5?
Sadly, no.
Shit.
Oh, Ben Kingsley. Ben Kingsley is in one of those.
Can I dream?
Oh, he makes so many shitty movies.
Yes.
And he's got an Oscar.
He was in The Sopranos.
Was he?
He has a cameo in The Sopranos.
Oh.
We were watching. It was a movie like whenever there's something that is done well, you start looking at certain things until you realize it's a turd, right?
Yeah.
And I remember we were watching Malignant, and
I still need to watch Malignant. I heard such good things.
It's a point where I'm just watching. I was like, oh, this is just a bad movie. That's literally the realization I came to. I was like, oh, I was trying to watch it like, this is going to be great horror. And it's like, oh, it's just bad. And it passed the sniff test that we have of how many people wet their beak. Like, how many writers are here? How many production companies? It's like, clean, we're good. It's like, what is missing here? And then when it turns into an action movie, and I was like, oh, they're going full. They're going completely there. Yeah. I was like, this is great. This is what I'm here to see. I was like, but it's just done too well in terms of like how it's shot and things of that nature for it to be like, this is dog shit. But it's like, you still chose to do this though. Because I'm not trying to spoil anything.
It's fine. You're
gonna see it.
I'm gonna watch it for the schlock, not because like I'm invested in the world of Malignant.
So Mike, I see MagFest, Mondo Baltimore, and you're working at the Space Telescope Science Institute. How did you find that creative niche, and what skills are you borrowing to kind of help you with another area of what you do day to day?
Well, like I said earlier, I've kind of existed in like the environs of a lot of different kind of artistic communities because like I have like a science and math background, so I can bring that to people and just be like, hey, you want me to do your spreadsheets or like organize your front of house and like be reliable and show up on time and actually do what I'm going to what I tell you I'm going to do, which is apparently a big deal. Just showing up. Mm-hmm. It seems like the most basic thing in the world to me, but everyone's like, no, they flaked out. It's like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. And then conversely, the artistic side helps professionally just because like it's good basic people skills, good basic communication skills. You can talk to people. You can lead a meeting. You can teach someone something that you need them to be able to do in the future. It's a lot of sort of give and take with those two disciplines where it's like, okay, this side needs that, this other side needs that. I've got the skills from both sides, and let's just kind of cross-pollinate there.
It's almost a daywalker situation, I think.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I remember I was the one in my theater department that people would go to for help with their math problems. So.
They just go to me to like bully people because it's like I'm a pussycat, but then at the same time it's like you're big though. It's like it's offensive slightly. It's like, and you have eyebrows. It's like, again, more offensive.
And there's a jar on the top shelf.
So use those paws and open it. I need my pickles. So, Roz, how are Frau Ankenstein, Stein, and you different? The real person versus the non-real person. Where do they converge? Where do they intersect? Where do they separate?
I'm actually, so It's kind of what John Bennett said initially about his persona was he was Dr. Acula. So I went with Frau Ankenstein as like a little tribute to him. He said, "My persona is fun enough." Because like we're self-aware that what we're showing people is not good, and we're kind of in on the joke too. So we usually have like a little bit of sarcasm about what we're doing, like a little bit of fake contempt for the audience, like you guys are stupid for showing up here every week kind of deal.
Fake.
Yes, fake.
That's great.
There's a couple of movies where I've warned people not to show up and they do anyway, and I just call them dumbasses.
You stupids.
Yeah.
How dare you come to this event that we planned meticulously? No, but and so like Frau is like more of my like raw tapped in performer side, because in general I'm a pretty shy person. Like, yeah, I know. I'm pretty quiet until I get to know people and start feeling comfortable, and so there's just something, and it always has been for me, that clicks when I'm on stage, and I can just be like, okay, everything else I worry about all the time doesn't matter. I'm here in the moment. Mm-hmm. And I can be sarcastic. I can be like funny. I could be like a MC if things need to move along. And it's just like, it's just sort of an amplified piece of my personality, I think. I think that's about accurate.
It's sort of like the vibe I get.
Yeah.
When we're up there.
That's kind of the thing that they say for like wrestlers. Your best gimmick is just you turned up. And I definitely kind of connect on it. That's why I have such a desire to like do the on stage stuff. It's much work there is for me, but it's just like, I could just be a dick. Oh, great. And I can just like, I have this mic. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
And I come out to wrestling music sometimes too, so that's the whole thing. I just turn it on. Just put on Shinsuke Nakamura's like New Japan theme and let's make it happen.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I mean, we kind of did that. Well, I did that last night with the presentation.
Spin it.
Yeah.
One thing. So during the pandemic, during lockdown, we're still in a pandemic. We were doing weekly shows because we were trapped at home and bored and missed each other. So we were doing like these weekly stream shows where we'd still get dressed up and we'd be on camera from our respective bunkers, and because before time, a lot of our like intermission shtick would usually just kind of be like interactions with the audience. You can't really do that on streaming, so we would come up with little skits. Like I would put together a weird presentation to give. Like it was just usually tangentially related to the movie, and I was not sure how that would transition to the in-person shows, but we gave it a shot last night. Mm-hmm. There was in the movie we showed, there was a guy doing a terrible Peter Lorre impersonation, and I hated it. I hated it so much. So I put together a little PowerPoint about, just like, okay, here's who Peter Lorre is. This guy is not Peter Lorre. This is Peter Lorre. And then just ramped my normal pettiness up to 11 and, was just yelling at a PowerPoint presentation. And then the audience like, this is important. You need to know about this. Look at this beautiful, perfect man. Not that guy. He's an asshole. Peter Lorre.
That is gold.
So, yeah, no, it's definitely just like all my normal pettiness. Just let it all out.
I'm here for it. I have 2 more questions before I get to the rapid fire questions.
Oh.
Ooh, yeah.
Rapid fire.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. So tell me about some of the challenges in like hosting niche programming and some of the ways you overcome them. And with that, how you like cultivate an audience? Understand that there's a team and there's a whole production component and things are done meticulously. But speak on that, and because I'm going to steal. But speak on that.
I would say, we're dealing with old movies. Like, we're dealing a lot of times with stuff like action comedies from the 80s. And there are aspects of these movies that do not age well.
They are #problematic.
Collision course?
Yeah. So, we try to screen that out as best we can.
Yeah.
That's been contentious at times, and understandably so.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want someone to like not have fun and come out. So,
and, you know, we don't want to. And but there's also like a line of like censorship with art, and it's like, but
yeah.
also like scenes of sexual assault are not great.
Yeah. So we have a lot of arguments about those, about how far to go with that at committee meetings. But yeah.
And sometimes it's fine if we feel like we can contextualize it for the audience, and that's a good thing about having hosts. Like if it's something that's little iffy, but not maybe if the movie has like a lot of other good stuff to recommend it, and it's not too bad, like we can contextualize it a bit.
Or it's like if it's super over the top, the joke becomes more, I can't believe somebody would think this was a good idea to have on film. Like Tiptoes.
Like
you know?
Tiptoes.
The joke of Tiptoes is not little people. The joke is that somebody took the saccharine Hollywood vision of an inspirational movie about little people, and they made this horrible
God.
creature while wasting simultaneously one of the best little people actors of all time in a supporting role. So
there are scenes with Gary Oldman sitting on a couch, but he is like kneeling in the couch, and they have just a pair of like little person legs attached to his midsection. It is phenomenal that someone saw that and was like, that looks good. I think we nailed it, guys.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I like look for sometimes, where it's just like, this is what you chose. This was the decision that was made. No conversation was had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Peter Dinklage, I know this has nothing to do with it, but I just remember when me and one of my friends, we were watching, what is it? I think Infinity War, and I was like, why is Peter Dinklage in this? And then he was like the dude with doing the friggin' axe hammer or whatever for Thor, and I was like, this isn't right. I don't like this. I don't like that he's giant, but he still has I don't like this at all. I don't like it. I was like, something is wrong here. I was like, bodies, no. Nah, let's move on. Yeah, that's, I don't know. Like, I find a lot of humor in that kind of area too, where it's just like, you guys made an attempt.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best version of it. You were aiming for something so abashedly that you just fucked up.
Yeah, it's a fine line all around.
It really, I mean, we've screwed up before. Like we
definitely
have shown a movie or two, and people were not happy about it, which is like it's gonna happen.
It does, and it's one of the reasons. Like personally, like I do make sure I watch every single movie before it goes up, just so you know if there needs to be like a last minute, like, hey guys. There's a pretty bad scene here. We should probably cut that out before we show it, and just like tell people, and just be like, or just do something with it, because like I was there. There was a couple nights people have just been like really upset because the movie wasn't screened beforehand. A scene was missed, and it was it killed the entire night.
And I mean, also, the inevitability of it is, you know, I think mostly we're white people on the committee. So there's stuff that is going to be triggering to other people that we might not pick up on. I'm the only woman, so I try to watch everything myself, too. Just in case the dudes aren't, like, quite, you know, picking up on some kind of undercurrent.
Yeah.
So we try. We're gonna miss the mark though, and that's just it's all about how you deal with it when that happens. You know, don't be a dick to people if they come to you and they're like, "That was fucked up."
Yeah, I remember having that conversation with one of my white friends, and it was just like we were talking about the like just being so attached to one's fandom and not being able to like actually understand like why this could be troubling to someone. Yeah. It's like, oh, so. Well, I think we were talking about like the Apu character. I was like, brown dudes don't like that. What do you mean? It's like, brown dudes don't like that. I don't think that there's much more. Well, here's the thing you got to understand. It's like, oh, no.
Oh, when they start with that.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, because like, I like to live in that kind of transgressive area sometimes because it's kind of funny. And I'll put it this way.
Yeah.
RoboCop 2. There is a scene in there that is the genesis of a segment I did on this podcast called Unofficially Black that I was calling Great Moments in Blaxploitation. And it was the scene where they're rolling over there to the nuke shack, as it were. And the guy at the hot dog stand is a black dude. He's like every black guy's uncle. And he's like, they about to kick somebody's ass. And I was like, this is a real person. All of that is wrong, but this is this guy's like, this is going to be this guy's obit reel.
Yeah.
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 It's B movies really do exist in that really nebulous, like sort of taboo pushing, but also like cringy area. You B movies are where you get the experimentation in cinema that will ultimately like push it further. It's like, hey, we can't have like women starring in a movie yet because men aren't going to come see that.
Nope.
But then the B movie people are like, what if we had a woman starring in our movie and she was 50 foot tall and scantily clad? Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, don't like that part, but we also don't get to the mainstream acceptance of women in film unless you start with the cringy stuff. And it's not great. I'm not saying it's great, but it's like it's the best. Sometimes it's the best we can do in our very broken system.
Well, it's also like, too, with a lot of the 80s action movies that we show, there's titties. Like, there's just seas and seas of objectification of women and just titties of all types, you know, and that's fine. That's beautiful. We're team titty, whatever. But at the same time,
That's great.
At the same time, we have to like realize like this has to be part of the joke is like the horrible objectification of women in this movie. So we'll do call outs about it in the drinking game. We get like really stupid over the top heckling moments like that. Any sex scene in a bar, watching a sex scene in a bar with drunk people is the most fun you'll have in your life.
It is great.
Because everyone just goes, yeah, you know, and like,
Woo!
yeah. Or we'll have...
It turns into Married with Children.
Exactly. We have a recurring joke about 80s long butt.
Oh, I was going to say that because go, you explain it.
Oh, okay.
You explain it, because it's perfect.
80s long butt is a term that was coined by Mark Colgrove, and he'll never live it down.
No, because it's great.
And so there was a time in the 80s when all of the female characters in action movies had very flat, very long butts, usually accentuated.
With like a thong that
With
would like...
just a very small thong.
But like a thong that like went halfway up their rib cage.
Yes.
Yep.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes they had machine guns.
Yes, exactly. The Andy Sedaris movies.
Yeah. Their butts are so long. It's just like, this was attractive.
This is a long ass scene here.
That was like,
Literally.
I mean, thank God for Sir Mix-a-Lot's transformative work, because otherwise I would have never gotten a date. But but yeah, and so, you know, Andy Sedaris movies are fun to watch, but they're full of objectification of women. So it then becomes part of the joke where you're like, another 80s long butt. 80s long butt, you know? And so it's just, I mean, it's all about like finding the right way to make a joke about something like that.
So one of the things that comes to mind is one of the things that you were saying, Mike, just about like, how do we get here? You know, sometimes I always go back to Nightmare on Elm Street too. And because one, the movie came out the year I was born, so
Fair.
I do that. But also, it's just like you look at the documentary from the male scream queen, that whole thing, and it's like, no, there were some problematic elements here. You did not have a great time. However,
very much so.
We don't get some of those elements of like pretty much what this character represented. It's like, this movie is super gay. I just remember like watching. I was like, there's a leather bar. Like, why is this like gym guy going to this leather? I was like, there's a lot of things happening here, and I was like, nah. It's like the thing that bugged me the most. There's a guy inside of me. I was like, this is writing. Yeah. Or what was it? The underwear dancing was a bit much for me. It's like a lot of tighty whities, a lot of like, yeah. But I downloaded that song now immediately.
It's a good song.
It's a good song.
Good song.
How weird is Baltimore?
Okay, I have a story.
I want to preface it. I want to add this to it, though. How weird is Baltimore in this context? Do we get the notoriety of being weird outside of people who are here.
No,
Okay.
we definitely don't. People are like, they think we're either like scary or dirty or trashy. But
All of that, though. We're going.
I mean,
a very, very good friend of mine is an author named Dave Kay. He routinely will like go to other cities and like do little book tour things, like nothing huge, just like, you know, independent stuff. Plug for Dave Kay's book, the bong ripping brides of Count Dragato. It's actually quite fun. So when Dave goes to other cities and he's sharing stories with the people there, he tells them about McDonald's Night. McDonald's Night was an event held up the street from here at the wind-up space.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
R.I.P.
This was a jokes night started by Justin Getka, and it was a night to celebrate McDonald's and how dumb it was. So people came with McDonald's from across the street. He bought a bunch of $1 cheeseburgers. We watched Mac and Me. There was a really shitty ball pit. People came dressed up as various McDonald's characters. There was the house band, the All Queef Patties, and then the drink specials. I forget most of them except the one I had, which was the McNuggetini, which was vanilla shake with vodka in a martini glass with barbecue sauce around the rim and a McNugget garnish. Also, that's how I met Justin Getka, because I offered to bring the terrible McDonald's NES game.
oh.
So when Dave is telling people about McDonald's Night, they'll think like, oh yeah, that's really kind of fun and kitschy. And then he keeps telling them about it and the levels of debauchery it descended to. There was an eating contest and I watched my friends throw up on stage.
Oh, God.
And that's their reaction. And they're just like, that happened. It's like, yeah, it was amazing. And so like, other cities will be like, oh yeah, we have kind of a weird, fun art culture. And it's just like, no, you do not worship at the altar of trash that we do. You will find the weirdest shit in Baltimore, and I love it.
Yeah.
Are you loving it?
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Thank you.
That is how every song from the All Queef Patties ended.
As it should.
Yeah. Whatever random punk song. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. The end. It was a very dumb night, and I love it.
Alrighty. Are you ready for rapid fire questions?
Oh, we're
Yeah.
ready.
All right. So rapid fire, because I'm trying to get this over, because I just started doing it. And essentially, these are questions that do not require any additional context. So it's one of those I said what I said kind of scenarios.
All right.
All right.
Favorite movie cliche?
Hearing the name of the movie in the movie.
That's a strong one.
Getting laid and dying immediately.
Also a strong one. Horror trope. 3 traits of a good B movie.
80s long butt.
80s long butt, yeah.
That's what I would save an 80s long butt for.
80s long butt, bad acting, and usually some kind of technical problem.
Oh, that's good. I was just gonna say like earnestness and good like puppet work. Or better yet, wet puppets.
Wet puppets are good.
Yeah.
My girlfriend's going to load the 80s long butt thing because she talks about that regularly. She's like, what's up with all these skinny bitches? I was like, jeez.
It wasn't that. Look, Sir Mix-a-Lot has done a lot for us larger-butted people.
Larger.
There is just a bunch of tall, skinny white women with no butt in these movies. Everywhere. Every movie has like 5 of them.
Yeah.
I just remember we were watching the original like Stepfather, and I was like, "Is that Terry O'Quinn's asshole?" At the very beginning of the movie, and she was like, "That's pretty erotic." It just starts out with his ass, and then he's taking a shower, and you just see like the body. So I'm like, "Hold on, like this is where we're starting, guys." Because I've seen one of these recently. Extra points if you can guess which one. Preference. The Stuff or Chud?
Stuff.
Stuff.
Which one have I seen?
Chud.
I'm gonna guess Chud.
The Stuff, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Chocolate Chip Charlie. Favorite B-movie actor?
So we were talking about this.
Okay.
Well, for me, off the top of my head, Bruce Campbell. I love him, but we were going through. I was talking to my wife about like the tears earlier because I had trouble with that, and I'm gonna also like quick shout out to Jeffrey Combs because he's great.
We love him.
Yeah, you never have a bad time watching Jeffrey Combs.
He got his own PowerPoint one time.
He did.
I'm going to have to say, I don't know if Pam Grier technically counts anymore, but I love a good Pam Grier. Also, Julie Strain, this like former Playboy's mega babe, like in all these 80s action movies as a scantily clad, like commanding woman that kicks ass. It's like not quite a feminist icon, but we'll take it. It's as close as we're going to get.
Yeah, for an Andy Sedaris film, yeah.
Any LB in that one? Any LB?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
Andy Sedaris invented LB.
Yeah.
All right, here's the last one. This might be the controversial one. I don't know. Maybe not. The Blob, 1958 or 1988?
I'm going 88 because it's the year I was born.
I haven't seen either. I know.
Shame!
Listen, there are weird holes in my knowledge that usually form around like movies that are already cultural touchstones. It's just like, well, everyone's already seen that, and I see it referenced everywhere. And like, I got it. It's fine.
I'm all set.
Yeah.
We've got very similar holes in our knowledge, which is why we always joke about being the two people in the Mondo Committee who like know the least about film.
Yeah.
Because somebody will be referencing, like, it's like directors' names. Unless we've showed a bunch of their movies for Mondo, I couldn't give you a goddamn clue about a single movie Brett Ratner has directed. I know he's a director. I know his name. No idea. Like, I just do not connect directors
Did
to
he
movies.
do Rush Hour?
Yes.
Okay.
And X-Men 3.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
And
we should
he's
know his name.
problematic.
Yeah, I remember that.
He's dog shit. Yeah, fuck him. Yeah, fuck him.
All right, fair enough.
So that's all the questions I had, but I want to open the floor up to you to just one, thank you. This has been fun.
That's
this is
great.
great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I've laughed, now my stomach hurts. So shamelessly plug away, whatever you got.
You can catch Mondo on the first Thursday of every month.
Yep.
It is we have our clip show at 7 and our main feature at 8.
Upstairs at the Auto Bar.
Upstairs at the Auto Bar. Sometimes there's karaoke after, which is always fun.
We're figuring that out as we, emerge from our bunkers.
Yeah. Also, I would say check out Mondo Committee member Bob Rose is a short film director. His stuff is wild and crazy. You can find him on YouTube.
He does the Thundergrunt Podcast Network where
Yeah.
there's like movie reviews there too.
Yep.
We do occasionally do other weird nights. You would have missed this a couple months ago, but we did a Top Gun night.
Yeah,
we sang with the Mondo band.
It was great. It was very well attended.
good.
Top Gun night.
I was there. No.
I wore a flight suit. And yeah, I'm going to plug my own new podcast, which
Do
is
it.
starting up. So I have a podcast called Wasted Brains that I'm working on, and it is about people's niche interests. So like, what are you into? What do you know a lot about that has nothing to do with what you do for a job or who you are as a person? Because sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night and you just start Googling things about octopuses, and maybe you want to know more.
As one does.
Yeah. So that should be coming out. It's through my friend's District Comedy podcast network. So that'll be coming out soon.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Website, social media, that kind of stuff for Mondo?
We do have a website.
We do have a website. I think it's updated. We are on Twitter, we're on Facebook, and we're on Instagram. So those are the best places. Also, I'm just going to go low tech for a minute.
Please.
We're very good about flyering. So
I don't know what that is.
flyers.
I'm kidding.
Back in they're on this thing called paper. So, if you ever see, we usually post like a 3-month schedule at different locations, Auto Bar, like different venues like that. We should probably get some up at Sidebar.
We should. It is mondobaltimore.com. Be careful if you Google us, though, because there's another group in town called Le Mondo, and they are not us. And that's all I'm going to say about that. That on a place that can be recorded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what you're saying, I'm not interviewing the folks from Le Monde? I've wasted an hour.
I think you traded up, but that's all I'm going to say.
So, again, thank you. I'll do my sign off, and that'll be that.
Alrighty.
So for Roz Paris, Michael Ridgaway, Mondo Baltimore, I'm Rob Lee saying that there is weird shit in and around Baltimore, and great presentations, great shows. You just gotta look for them.